for the interest. And thank you for the interest in our program. I believe that essentially devoting time to listen to us shows some element of interest in the program, and therefore we hope that we will be able to give you the information that you need. But nonetheless, do feel free to ask us any questions that you think will help you to make the decision to join us. I can assure you that it's not a decision that you will regret. So I'm going to start off with a brief introduction about our center, which is the Center on African Philanthropy and Social Investments. And we are located at the Wits Business School, the University of Witwatersrand. We are a Pan-African center. Even as we are located in South Africa, we have a very Africa-oriented and Africa-focused approach. Our staff is also very Pan-African, both in terms of their places of origin, but also the research that we do and our focus. And we aim to build a culture of effective giving and corporate social responsibility on the continent. And the center started off because the founders were really interested in trying to demystify philanthropy and the role that it would play in development and in the creation of sustainable and inclusive societies, especially in our parts of the world. And we do this through three key elements in the center, which is research. And here, we are trying to address gaps in knowledge, data, and theory on African philanthropy. We have completed several research projects since the beginning of the center, just a few years ago, and some of them are still ongoing. This also includes working in partnership with partners or associates across the continent in various research projects. We also have academic programs. The master management in African philanthropy, for which is one of them, is one of the key modules. But others are, we have a PhD program, we have a postgraduate diploma program, we have certificate programs, we have executive educational master classes. But our, because the idea is to build the next cohort of academics and practitioners in this particular area, we also do bring in other elements like PhD seminars. Every year we hold at least 2, sometimes even 3, where we bring PhDs from across the continent who are interested or working on areas of interest to the center into at least 1 week of curated discussions on their ongoing projects, and they share experiences with both academics from our center, but also broadly within the business school and the university in general. But also we do have an active convening and knowledge dissemination program where we try to share knowledge through academic programs, through the annual philanthropy conference, which this year will be in its 4th iteration. Be on the lookout of the CAPS website for or any communication from CAPSI with regards to this particular. Both conferences will be held in Senegal later in the year, and they run one after the other. Then, with regards to knowledge dissemination, also what we try to do or sharing, we have our own journal, which is the International Review of Philanthropy and Social Investments, which we launched some 2 years ago, so 2 or 3 years ago, and it's going strong. So if you have publications that on this particular area and you would want to publish, please reach out to the journal. It has a website, so if you search International Review of Philanthropy and Social Investment, or through the CAPS website, you should be able to find your link to the journal. We also have Kisima, which is a giving platform. And currently we've been sharing stories of giving across the African continent, especially through curated conversations that Professor Becky Moyo, the center director, is leading. And then we have CAPS Knowledge Hub, among many other platforms that we share knowledge and data and theory on African philanthropy. So now let's go to the core of today's conversation, which is the Master Management in African Philanthropy. This is a master's level program, fully accredited by all the relevant accrediting agencies in the Republic of South Africa. When you qualify with NQF, that's National Qualifications Framework 9 in this particular country. So it's which is equivalent to many others of a similar manner across the globe. The way the program is structured, we have 4 core modules and a research report, which is also mandatory. And then we have electives, from which you choose 3. Now, what are the core modules? The core modules include African gifting and philanthropy. And here you are introduced to the landscape of African philanthropy. You look at what is philanthropy in the African continent, or you look at various nomenclatures that try to describe the pro-social behavior that we find on the continent, either giving, gifting, philanthropy, etc., and why specific terms are used in different contexts, and probably even problematizing philanthropy, as it were, in terms of conception, but also in terms of practice in the African continent. Then the next module looks at organization and management of philanthropy. So we look at, in module number, that initial module, the first module, African gifting and philanthropy, we look at the canvas, so to speak, of all the pro-social behaviors and structuring and etc. Now, in organizational management, we look at how do we, or how is philanthropy organized and managed on the African continent. We look, it's both theoretical, but also practice-oriented in terms of trying to understand and taking case studies of different organizations and the way they have tried to make this happen. And then the third module is resourcing African gifting and philanthropy. This is how do we resource philanthropy on this particular continent, as it were. So we teach or interrogate various ways or methods through which this is done. Then we have research methods. In terms of, we'll talk about the scheduling a little later, but the research methods are geared towards helping you or students be able to gain skills in research, in doing research, because the nature of the field also requires a lot of research skills so that you can be able to deliver in the various roles that practitioners or even scholars in the field, in this particular field, operate in. And out of gaining that, we also want to make sure that you leave with skills that we can say, okay, we have tested you on this, we've given you the skills, but we've also tested you on these particular skills, and therefore are able to carry them on. And therefore, we give you, or we allocate a supervisor, a research supervisor who supervises or guides you through the research process, right from identifying a research topic and a research problem, all the way to finally submitting your research report for examination. Each of the core modules is a 15 credit points module. The research report is 90 credit points. So you can imagine the amount of weight that is given to that. We have 7 electives. we choose 3. The idea here is that when we get sufficient numbers of students who can be able to choose various modules, we will be able to offer all of them in any single year, as it were. However, in the current cohort, which is a relatively small class, choices were made through quote unquote balloting in terms of what is it that students want to pick from the 7. The 3 that are currently being offered, and we are yet to offer one of them, but it will be offered in the next teaching block, is philanthropy and sustainable development goals, as well as corporate social investment. The last one, which will be offered next teaching block, is public policy, law, and regulation. The other electives here are advising private wealth, community gifting and philanthropy, community foundations, and then the role of the region and belief in the philanthropic process. Now, classes are usually offered on weekends, Saturdays beginning 8 a.m. all the way to even 4 p.m. in the afternoon. However, we are also exploring possibilities of having after class hours, that is from 17:30 to about 20-30 hours on weekdays. And the reason for this is it might be able to free a bit of time to students to be able to do something else apart from being in class throughout the year, because it's a commitment that you have to commit throughout the year on all Saturdays, irrespective of, except for maybe just a very, very, very few Saturdays where maybe religious holidays may be falling, especially Easter. I think Easter is the only time you don't have a class really, or are not engaged, or in between one teaching block and the other, we have, I think, 1 or 2 weekends at most throughout the year. So we're exploring that, and we will communicate in due course on whether this, but also the other element of that is to also help in terms of the timetabling, especially for the resource persons, the lecturers and professors, so that they can be able to offer some teaching during the week and then some other teaching during the weekend, because we are not a very big team, and the more we concentrate everything on Saturdays, the more difficult it becomes to schedule or to draw the timetable. Now, what are the entry requirements? The entry requirements are that for you to be able to be an admittant, you need to meet the following criteria. One is that you need to have a 4-year degree in countries that offer 4-year degree program, or a postgraduate diploma in management or related cognitive discipline at NQF level 8 with a good academic record. What does this mean? You will require to have either postgraduate diploma in management, but we also operate in a field which is very interdisciplinary. It is not always the case that all our students will come from a management background. We have students coming from traditional humanities and social sciences. If they have the equivalent, then that's fine. It could be in economics, it could be in even in finance, it could be in sociology, it could be in politics, it could be even in philosophy or even religious studies, because all these elements have something to do with philanthropy or pro-sociality, as it were. So if you have the requisite qualifications, you do meet the admission criteria. Then you need a level of competence in maths and English, equivalent to South African National Senior Certificate level. And here it's because some of the modules have quote unquote some element of math. When you're talking about resourcing, when you're talking about fundraising and things like that, which would be specific components in various modules, they may require you to be able to make sense of math. Of course, English is the medium of instruction here, and all academic writing is expected in that particular language. And therefore, that also explains that particular requirement. We also require people with experience, at least 3 years experience in which is relevant to the field. If you're seeking exemptions from this particular requirement, your letter of motivation accompanying your application should be able to explain that. In some cases, we may require that you attend an interview with WBS, so this will be arranged. And then if you are required to complete any admissions tests, this can also be done, and it is at candidates' own cost. So far, we haven't used criteria number 5 in any way, but there may be instances where, for instance, if an applicant feels that that's the only way we can be able to gauge, or we also feel that that's the only way we can be able to gauge whether the person can be able to fit in the program, we may be able to administer an admissions test. Now, it is a 1-year program. This year's intake begins, or teaching for this year's intake begins in June, July, actually exactly on the 24th of June. That's when we start teaching. And then you get your NQF level 9 qualification once you're done. The current fees for 2023 are 136,790 per year, and it's a 1-year full-time study. What it means is everything that you saw in terms of what you cover needs to be done within 12 calendar months from July. The scheduling, as I said, we start on June 24th until the 2nd of September. We'll be teaching 2 modules, which is African gifting and philanthropy, and then research methods. This is followed by organization and management of philanthropy, and then resourcing African gifting and philanthropy, which takes us to the end of the year. Then early January 2024, we start with advising private wealth. We also have corporate investment. We also have community gifting and philanthropy, then community foundations. The last quarter will be philanthropy and sustainable development goals, and then the role of religion and belief, and then public policy, law, and regulation. Please note that quarters January to March, also March to June 2024, the offerings can change based on the specific courses that we settle on for the electives. If we don't have a very big class, and for instance, only 1 module is picked in January, or none of the modules for January are picked, and all the 3 are picked for March to June, then we will move the March to June, at least 2 of them in the January to March block, and then whatever remains into that. So there's flexibility on the scheduling of the electives. However, by the end of the first teaching block, we do a survey, and then that survey leads us into making a decision on what will come, and then that also helps us in quote unquote scheduling for when the electives will happen. Now, I talked about having several programs. The master's program sits at the very top of a series of other courses or other modules or programs, as it were. The certificate programs, for instance, are into 3 layers or 3 levels. We have feather. Feather is a Swahili word for silver. where we introduce you to philanthropy. Then we have the Habu, which is an advanced certificate. The Habu is Swahili for goal, and there you get an advanced certificate in philanthropy. And then we have Almasi, which is Swahili for diamond, which stands for executive, which once you qualify with executive philanthropy course. These certificate courses are meant for, let's say, you don't meet the criteria for 3 years experience, or you do not meet the criteria for NQF level requirement and things like that, and you want to join us, you can you can go through the certificate route. You do all your certificates, do your postgraduate diploma after that, and then you get into the master's program. The Almasi, the executive philanthropy course, you actually graduate with NQF level 8, which is, you can come from that and then join the master's program directly because it's already accredited at that particular level. So what is covered in the master classes? Kira will be able to speak a little bit more about this, but we have these particular modules, and these are short courses that we offer. Introduction to philanthropy, introduction to introducing community foundation model, principles and fundamentals of fundraising, corporate social responsibility and business in society, and finance for social enterprises and NGOs, venture philanthropy. But we also do offer tailor-made master classes per client requirements. This might mean combining 1 or 2 or even more of various elements that we're offering, because that is what the client wants. And we have examples of doing that with clients, which has been quite successful. Clients that are within the nonprofit sector or within philanthropy, but also even within government and intergovernmental agencies. Kira, if you may, you can come in there to chip in a little bit if you want to.
Thank you, Jacob. Let me just switch on the screen, and greetings to everybody. It's very exciting to see all of you here. So yes, we do have short courses which take a shorter time to accomplish. So the ones that are on the screen here are 2 days duration, and you don't need anything to qualify for it. So if you're working in this space and you just want to refresh your memory on some of these topics, or perhaps you are in the master's program and you want to do research on fundraising or venture philanthropy, and you just want a quick fix as it can be, you can register for this. It just requires 2 days investment of your time. And then the cost of it is 3,750 rands, which is about $200 US, if I'm not mistaken. So you can register at any time. We do have open enrollment for it towards the end of the year. So it actually works nicely for you if you're coming into the master's program, because you could take the 2-day masterclass and then come in next year for the actual master's degree with a good idea of your research topic. But if Q4 is too far away for you to do the open enrollment, we also do go out and do customized versions of these. So you have options in terms of how you can pursue it. Thank you, Jacob.
Okay, thank you. The PDM, which is the postgraduate diploma in philanthropy and resource mobilization, the modules, I'll quickly go through this, and they have the core modules are landscaping African philanthropy, organizational management of resource mobilization. Then we have measuring and reporting performance for nonprofit organizations, marketing and communications, in contemporary philanthropy, working with communities, and ethical leadership. And then the electives are philanthropy and fundraising in African education institutions. This is mainly for those that are interested or are already working in university advancement offices or fundraising and things like that. Then we have philanthropic foundations. We have innovations in philanthropy. And then finally, we have philanthropy and public policy. For assessments in both masters, but also the PDM, we have individual assessments or assignments. We have syndicate assignments, and then we have summative, which is an exam. Both individual and syndicate, which is a group assignment. The syndicate is a group assignment, 30%, 30%, and then the exam is 40%. As with, we have a class which is already on, which started early this year, and it will end in December. For these ones, the qualification NQF level 7, so you need a bachelor's degree. You need some experience, which will give you some advantage. A level of competence in math and English. Then, if you are non-degreed with considerable experience, which we consider exceptional, you can apply for RPA, which is the recognition of prior learning, especially in South African context. We have limitations for the use of RPL. We can only have no more than, I think, 10%, if I'm not mistaken, of the total class who are RPL students. So if you, anyone who may be considering this would have to apply early enough, and if you don't have a degree for that matter. And again, as usual, candidates may be required to undergo some tests, admissions tests for that matter. The postgraduate diploma is 189,880. The fees change at the beginning of every year. This will change in 2024. But we just mentioning these others. The session today was really about the masters. This is the current class. This is how their schedule looks like. We started on January 14th. It will run until November 2022, end of November. Sorry, 2023. Sorry. Classes are all in for now. Everything is Saturday, but also we look forward to most probably having some classes during weekdays. The next intake, the deadline for next intake for PDM is September 30th, 2023. And then they join us in January 2024. Now, meet some lecturers. This is really a gallery of some of the lecturers that you're likely to encounter in some of the modules. It's not everyone, but we have Professor Moyo, who is the director of the center, very experienced in running private foundations or even public foundations, and teaches a number of courses within the center. We have Professor Alan Fowler, who is our honorary chair and also in our international advisory board of CAPSI. He has been in the sector and in the field for many years. This is me. I teach a couple of modules at the center as well. Kira is there, teaches a couple of modules as well. Kira is a Pan-Africanist, a researcher, and a lecturer with us. She has a very interesting story. She's among the first few graduates of our center, actually, with a PhD. She can tell you a little bit more a little later. Then we have Dr. Rosalind Cheruyot with diverse educational backgrounds in management, ethics, and accounting, and teaches courses relating to CSI. We have Dr. Melody Mandavere, who is an experienced administrator, also teaches courses relating to CSI. We have, these are lecturers that some you encounter either within the master's program, but also within the postgraduate diploma. We have Dr. Kadis Mokel. We have Dr. Nomatemba. There are areas around measuring and reporting performance. We have Dr. Jerry Salo, who teaches philanthropic foundations and innovations in philanthropy. We have Bongi, who teaches marketing and communications, together with Dr. Emmanuel Kwei. Sorry, we don't have the picture here. Then we have another Bongi, who teaches working with communities. We have Christine, who teaches ethical leadership. And so what do you do? What do you need to do to apply? The application is online. So if you go to WITS or to WBS, but it's actually through WITS, the university, that's the link to the applications. So there's an online form, but there's also a faculty under the Faculty of Management. There's a form there. You need copies of your degree certificates. You will need these ones need to be certified. You need your academics transcripts in English. If you went to school in any place where transcripts are not given in English, you need to get them translated and certified. You need your CV detailing all your areas of work. You need a letter of motivation telling us why you want to join us. And then there's a non-refundable fee of application fee of 200 Rand. For non-South Africans, for anyone who is studied outside of South Africa, you also need to get your certificates accredited by SAQA. SAQA is South African Qualifications Authority, and that certification will allow you to study in South Africa. Without that, unfortunately, we cannot admit you. So that's an extra requirement for anyone who studied outside of South Africa. And SAQA, we will require all the certifications, the certification for all your degrees, which you have listed as part of your qualifications. So it's not just maybe your most recent one. If you have a master's or another master's and you want to do master management, and this master's was not offered in South Africa, we will require SAQA accreditation for that. So that's the link. Once your application is successful, we require that you pay a minimum fee of 15,000 Rands upon acceptance. This amount is non-refundable, but it is offset against your registration fees, as in your tuition fees once you register. So this is a placeholder, so to speak, to tell you that, to tell us that you have the commitment and you pay the 15,000, and then we keep your place until the registration time. So this, for any inquiries, you can go to WITS Marketing. You can talk to our admissions officer, who is Tandiwe Mukasibe. You'll be able to meet her in a short while. And then there's also, you can also write directly to me, and I will be able to lead you to the right people. Becky, should we have what's next? Becky, you're in charge. So let me know. Please do let me know.
Prof, just before we can go, maybe can we maybe get Dr. Kira if there's anything that she would like to add? Okay. And then we can go to our students, Lerato and Daphne.
Okay.
No, I'm good. So I'll answer any questions if they have on the short courses.
Okay, we do have some questions, Prof. Marty, but I do think maybe let's just get Daphne, and then followed by Lerato. And then we can take the questions, because some of the questions they might be answered, they will share.
Okay. I need to stop sharing, isn't it?
Yes, you can stop sharing, Prof.
And I don't know how to do that. It says, I can only see share. I don't know how to stop. And I'm trying to stop.
Okay, it should be on the, let me see if I can.
Okay, post share, resume. Now, more, stop post recording. No, leave. What do I do?
Okay, let me do it from my side.
Okay, sure. Oh, stop share, it's here. I found it.
Okay, thanks, Prof.
Okay.
I have posted the links for the brochures and the program link on the chat, so you can copy and paste if you like to know more about the programs.
Okay, so there's the students now, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Renato, are you there? And Daphne? Yes, I can see you.
We're here, Prof. I think Daphne's starting, then I'll go after her.
Okay, sure.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daphne Nemakabane, and I'm wearing two hats. I'm a master's student as well, Masters of Management in African Philanthropy, but I'm also a development and fundraising practitioner. So I'm part of the first cohort, and the school has really been exceptional in terms of support, just from the start, from the application to enrollment, and also the start of the classes. So the journey thus far has been extremely transforming, I must say, and it has unquestionably altered my perspective on philanthropy and resource mobilization in general, particularly in the context of Africa. So the course, as I think Prof. Jacob has already articulated some of these issues around the course, how it's presented. It it has provided us with a wealth of literature on African philanthropy, and you're really spoiled of choice in terms of selectives. You might have seen that from Prof. Jacob's presentation. Throughout the program, we have been fortunate enough to be exposed to some of the industry experts who come as guest lecturers, as well as a good balance of literature that we have been exposed to, which includes cases and African philanthropy in the organization within Africa, as well as international organizations that operate in a philanthropy space. So I'm sure in this call, there are practitioners like myself on this platforms, even those who are the future development practitioners. And we all know that in a resource mobilization space, most of us really, there are outstanding practitioners out there with plenty of expertise, but they are mostly self-taught, figuring things out as we go as practitioners. But this is a one-of-a-kind course, I must say, that will be of interest to everyone who is solution-driven and also passionate about the development work, particularly in the African setting. Hence, I'm also a solution-driven individual, and enrolling for this course really has equipped me with skills to contribute to bringing about African solutions to African challenges in a most sustainable manner that include collaborations, be it amongst ourselves in Africa and globally as well. So this is just a brief, this is my journey that I wanted to share with you, and thank you so much for indulging me. For those who will be enrolling for Masters of Management in African Philanthropy, you will be making the right choice. I'm looking forward to your contribution to the sector. I hope in the near future, we will be citing some of the work that you have done as a contribution to African philanthropy. And perhaps we will be meeting in various platforms where we can influence policies and also co-create solutions. Thank you very much, Becky and colleagues.
Thanks, Stephanie. The next one would be Lerato.
Thanks, Becky. Good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me well because it's raining outside heavily. So just stop me if you can't hear me. I am Lerato. I am a program manager at the Ford Foundation, but I'm also a CAPC student. I'm doing my master's in African philanthropy. So my educational background is really in international relations and public administration. So as you would have heard from Professor Jacob, that not everybody that comes into the space has a management background, but my career has really mostly been in philanthropy within the private donor space. So for me, I was really interested when picking what I want to do for my master's to really study something that allows me to really delve deeper into how philanthropy is practiced on the continent, especially being in an organization that is US-based. It's really trying to see what are some of the different practices that we as African philanthropists can bring into practice working in a US-based organization. I think for me, CAPC stood out because it really, as they've already spoken about, is really Pan-African from the literature that you're reading, but also how we're engaging. For me, what really stood out is just diving back into the history of African philanthropy. I think, being one of the younger students, I've always seen philanthropy from a US perspective and from a global North perspective. So really coming in to relearn and unlearn some of the thoughts and principles that I've had, just relating to giving and gifting and how that takes place on the African continent. It's also been great learning about other scholars that are doing this work. I think something about the African continent is that there's a lot of loss of memory. And so I think the university and the center is doing a lot of work to kind of bring back the memory of African philanthropy and African gifting and giving. A lot of the things that I wanted to say Daphne did speak to, but I think what's important for me has also been, really learning philanthropy outside of the philanthropic space that I'm in. So philanthropy is very broad. And I think for me, what stood out is really learning about how corporates do philanthropy, how social enterprises do philanthropy, how individuals do philanthropy. As Daphne already said, there's a lot of case studies. So really the work is very practical outside of learning the theory. It's really about how do you engage with the content and how do you practice this in your day-to-day work and in the field that you're in. So for me, actively engaging in philanthropy in my day-to-day work, I've been left with a lot of questions, but also really thinking about new ways to do things. I think the nice thing about the program is that it looks backwards, but it's also very forward thinking. So it's really about how do we take what has happened in the past and bring it to where we are in at the moment. So it's really brought up a lot of innovation and ideas. I think the syndicate assignments, which have been highlighted, really also present you with an opportunity to get to work with other students. And I think through that, you really learn different perspectives of how different people see philanthropy based on where they're at. So for example, the way that I see philanthropy as a philanthropist and grant maker versus Daphne, who really is a development practitioner and a fundraiser, is very different. And so really coming into the room to learn about different perspectives, but also how different regions do philanthropy. So as they've said, it's really Pan-African. So we've learned about how Kenya does philanthropy. We've learned about how South Africa does philanthropy. I know some of the collaborations that exist within the philanthropic space. More than that, I think, being part of CAPC allows you to have access to networks that you wouldn't necessarily have outside of CAPC. So I've met a lot of new people through the program. We've also engaged with a lot of different practitioners that are based in different organizations across the continent. So that's really been insightful. Just to say that it is a lot of work. I know we're speaking about the positives, but I think there's also the realization that everybody in the cohort at the moment works full time. And so there's a lot of work that you need to kind of do in between, because you've got two assignments. One is an individual assignment, then you've got your syndicate assignment, and then you still have your exams. So there's a lot of time that you really need to put aside. I think the one thing that I have enjoyed about this degree is, for someone who practices philanthropy on a day-to-day basis, it's really allowed me to critically engage with some of my practices. but also really rethink how certain things should be done. And I think the master's research really allows you to kind of explore ideas or explore questions that you may have regarding philanthropy and how it is practiced. But other than that, I think the degree is really holistic and looks at philanthropy from a very broad perspective and engages from, even from a community level, so looking at community foundations, to looking at how do high net worth individuals practice philanthropy. So it's really broad in terms of the scope. And I really did enjoy reading a lot of the African literature, and also just seeing how other, the global north is doing things, and how, Africa has kind of adopted or adjusted to doing some of its own practices. So yeah, I think more than anything would really encourage that, people participate in these programs. I think it's very necessary that we build a cohort of African scholars who are doing, work in the philanthropic space to kind of just build and rebuild that memory that the continent has lost regarding a lot of the research that's been done previously. Thanks, Becky.
Becky?
I think we lost Lerato there.
Oh, she completed.
Yes, I think so. Prof, I'm not sure if Andy can maybe also just so that we can release her, if there's anything that she would like to share in terms of admissions, and then we can just take the questions up until we finish.
Sure. Tandiwe?
Yes, Prof. Thank you, Peggy. I think Prof has shared most of the admin stuff, but I could just add that we also need the management platform form, which they can download online on the self-service portal and complete, then upload as a PDF. And also make sure that all documents are PDF format. Let me see if, because I did create a short PowerPoint presentation. And then my PC is very problematic, so I just rushed fixing it earlier today. But let me see if I can with you guys.
Okay, Tandiwe, not a problem. You know what I can also do when I'm sharing the recording and the PowerPoint presentation that Prof has shared, I can also include yours. So if you can't, never mind.
Okay. So I see there. Tandiwe, you. Okay, cool.
Are you seeing my screen? Is everyone seeing my screen?
Yes, but your sound is terrible, to be honest with you. But let's try.
I'm sorry for that. Is it still bad?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's still bad.
Crackling. But try.
Okay, how about now?
Just go on. We can see the slides.
Oh, you can see the slide. Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, applications are open. They open on the 1st of February, and they will close end of May. Becky has already shared the link for applications. What else? We did also mention certified copies must be certified. Academic record must show the history of studies, not just subject or modules passed. So it must show what you passed, what you dropped, what you failed, and also the percentages as well. And we also try to be as quick as possible in terms of getting back at applications once they are completed. So it could take more than 14 days, but we do try to make it 14 days. And also the admission office is always open for any inquiries. And I'm always there to assist. You can email me or call me. That
Okay.
about, unless they have more questions that I can answer.
Okay, thanks, Tandiwe. Prof, I think we can attempt some of the questions that we.
Yes, we have how many minutes to the end of the whatever? It's very short. What time is it now?
Just before 5 to 6.
Will it knock us out, or we can extend by a few minutes?
We can extend by a few minutes, Prof.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Let me start with the webinar chat. I can see Becky has answered a good number of questions. Let me see what is not answered here. Bursaries or whatever. Someone says they need the bursary. Unfortunately, we don't have perhaps specific bursaries. But if you do meet the qualifications for university funding, which is a merit award, then you may apply for that. I think Tandy will be able to guide you on where to get that. Number two is if you have another master's and you get into this, whether there will be credit transfers. Technically, it is possible. However, being a new program, we are, to be honest with you, we are yet to work out even how to do it. So if you will be giving us a very interesting problem for that, or challenge rather, if you did apply for that. But we can have a look at it. If you part, because that's very specific, do approach me, and then I'll approach the relevant people, and I will be able to advise you on that. What is the other one?
I think what you can also touch on, Prof, is the classes in terms of how the classes are delivered.
Our classes are currently online, unless we get a group of students who want to come face-to-face, which I would love. But this does not preclude anyone from any part of the continent who want to take this online, because all our modules are currently offered online, and the degree, both degrees are accredited for an online offering. So that shouldn't worry you in that regard. So feel free to give us your applications, which is the other one. Anything else that is burning that I need to touch on? Becky?
There was also a question from Pumla about the Saturday classes. Are they standard, or I wasn't sure how to answer that because I'm not sure what she means.
What does she mean by standard classes? They are classic postgraduate classes, if I may call them that way. Seminars with readings, with class discussions and presentations, if that is what standard means. Classes are compulsory as with any university. If you can't attend a class or two, maybe one, not more than two, because it's we only have 9 classes per module. We have talked about number of assignments as well, so that I think is covered. I saw a hand up. I don't know exactly who it was. It's one. It's one individual assignment. It's two master. No, it's one individual assignment, one syndicate assignment, which is a group assignment, and then there is what do we call it? An exam at the end of each teaching block. And Eunice, thank you for being here. Yes, there's a graduation. You attend the VITS graduation ceremony at the end of your qualification. Graduations come twice a year. There's a mid-year one, and then there's the end of the year one.
Okay, Prof. I've got
Research
two
projects
hands.
start immediately. Okay, I want to say research projects start immediately. We allocate a supervisor for you immediate by week 3. You have your supervisor. So as you come in, even think about what you want to do, because that helps in the process. The length of the dissertation is it 30,000 words, if I'm not mistaken, but I can always confirm that later. You choose your own research, as it were, within the area, the subject matter. Yes, Becky.
I was checking, we had hands, but I can see now they're no longer there. Okay, there's one hand from Dombifuti. Can we just allow her to ask a question directly?
Sure.
You can go for it, Dombifuti.
Okay, thank you. Well, my question is around the courses, especially between the Almasi and the masters, because I've got experience within the sector. So is there an exemption that one can apply for the masters, or I should first go with the Almasi executive, considering the extent of my experience? Thank you.
We don't experience is considered masters, but then you also need to come in with formal qualifications.
Okay.
But if experience as recognition of prior learning is, we consider that at the postgraduate diploma level as opposed to the master's level. The reason for that is the master's degree is both academically very rigorous, even for people with a postgraduate diploma or a honors degree. And we will be setting you up for failure if we admitted you to that particular program. I think Daphne and Rarato can bear witness to that.
Okay, so the advice is then that I should start with the Almasi executive?
Yeah, you can start with the Almasi executive, or you can also apply for postgraduate diploma RPL exemption. Yeah.
Are you happy to
any other burning questions? Anyone who may want to verbalize any question before we call it a day? Okay, it seems like there's none. Becky. Anything, Kira, you may want to add
I
to
am
this?
not sure, Prof. There is one hand, Prof.
Yes, please.
You can go for it, Butsisiwe.
Hi, thank you so much for hosting the session. I just wanted to know, what are the chances that by the time we begin, so if one goes for the masters, we would begin in winter, right? June, July. What are the chances that by then some of the classes might be offered on a weeknight rather than Saturday?
Okay, that's a tough one. But it's if no one wants classes in winter, well, I think to be honest with you, it's an experiment that we are thinking of. We haven't started it yet, and part of that particular experiment is something that the current crop of students have requested. Is it possible that we could do it? But they are online classes, so you will be you're likely to be warm in your own room at home.
Prof, your line is not that good.
Oh, sorry. What's happening? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm saying it's being online. It is possible that you will get to be in the warmth of your house or home
Yes.
to take this. Yeah.
Sorry, Prof, can I just say the winter is not the problem. The problem is the Saturday. So just in terms of like navigating, children and responsibilities and all, just life, it would be much easier to have a longer work day during the week, even if it's like every day, have it as a long work day, but then have the Saturday off. For me, that would work out much better. That's why I'm asking.
Saturdays would work better. That's what you mean?
No, the evenings would work much better to attend school than a Saturday.
Okay, we will look at that as it were.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay, sure. Anything else? But I can't promise everything on weekday. It will have to be a mix of weekday and weekends, and maybe one class during the week and then just one on Saturday, because currently the entire Saturday is lost to that. Lerato?
Hi, Prof. I think there are a couple of questions in the chat that people want Daphne and I to respond to. I don't know if we're able to.
Yes, please.
Sure. So I think the one question is...
Yes, you may, Lerato.
Okay, so I think the question is about sharing prospective challenges that we faced and how you can expect to proactively prepare for that. So I think I'll speak for me, then maybe Daphne can come in. I think because I work full-time, a big challenge was time management, I think initially in the beginning. So as we already discussed, we have classes on Saturdays. So you have a full day of class on Saturday, then in the evenings, during the week, you're almost doing research or reading in preparation for the class. And then you still have your individual assignment and the syndicate assignment while you're doing your research proposal and research simultaneously. So I think it's just a matter of time management. You may have to sacrifice some time or create time in your schedule to just manage the workload that comes with that. So really just preparing in advance for class, so like reading your materials and trying to make notes as you're reading instead of waiting for the exam. I think that's a big challenge. I think the other thing for me is I find because of the pace that we have to work with, in sometimes I'm not able to fully immerse myself and critically engage all the content. But I think the classes kind of cover the content that you're not able to read because different colleagues will comment on different readings. So I think that's about it. Really, I like that they're thinking about moving the classes to the evenings because sometimes it is difficult to always be fully attentive on a Saturday. And I think it'll also allow you to kind of have more time for research purposes. But other than that, there weren't really a lot of challenges. I think it's just a matter of managing your time more than anything. So really just be prepared to, sacrifice some time. It's only a year. It goes by really quickly. I think we're in month 9 out of 12. So the fact that we're still standing and going shows that it is possible. I don't know if Daphne wants to come in, but those are my, I think, not really challenges, but things I had to kind of grapple with.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lerato. I think you have covered pretty much everything. Time management is an issue, but like Lerato said, I think you will have to sacrifice and plan around the classes because you'll have to prepare before every class, engage on the literature, and also you have to participate in class. You don't just go there and listen to the lecturers. The challenge again, but I think I suppose it's to be expected at this level that you have syndicate assignment as well, where you will have to juggle your time and plan around your other colleagues, where you have to do an assignment, engage in the literature, and also do the presentation. But like I said, the experience was quite fulfilling, so you will not regret your sacrifices. I think it's worth your time. So I'll pause here, Prof.
Thank you, Daphne. If there are no more burning issues, please feel free to contact us, either admissions or Becky or myself, and we will be more than willing to assist you.
Okay, Prof, thank you so much. I just want to throw this, guys. I'll also be joining you on the next intake. So please feel free to also, if you have any questions, to send me an email. I'll direct all all your questions to the relevant parties, and then let's do this.
Okay, cheers, and looking forward to many of you, if not all of you, joining us. Thank you, and have a blessed one.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Prof.